as well as secular affairs as well. The other point, verse 5, which I didn't want to skip over, it said it would have a man at its head. Well, we know, as we look at the Catholic Church today, that it has always had a man at its head. The Pope has always been the visible leader of that power. Number 7, we said it would speak great words and blasphemy. And I want to tell you this, the things that I'm going to put up on the screen next don't come from any other church, don't come from any other writing, but they actually come from the Catholic Church tonight. So if you're taking notes and you'd like to write down the reference of where they come from to make sure that the church actually said these things, you're welcome to do that. If you would like me to get you a copy of these things, I can do that as well. I want to give you every comfort tonight that these things that I'm about to put up here come from the Catholic Church itself. Nobody is making them up. They are very bold to say these things. This is taken from Prompta Bibliotheca. It says that the Pope is of so great dignity and so exalted that he is not a mere man, but as it were God, and the vicar of God. The Pope is called most holy because he is rightfully presumed to be such. He is likewise the divine monarch and supreme emperor and King of kings. Now I only call Jesus Christ King of kings. These are blasphemous words. Hence the Pope is crowned with a triple crown, as King of heaven and of earth and of the lower regions. Now those are great words, amen? This continues to say, moreover, the superiority and the power of the Roman pontiff by no means pertain only to heavenly things, to earthly things, and to things under the earth, but are even over angels, than whom he is greater. So that if it were possible that the angels might err in the faith, or might think contrary to the faith, they could be judged and excommunicated by the Pope. The Pope is, as it were, God on earth, sole sovereign of the faithful of Christ, chief King of kings, having plenitude of power. This is from Lacilia Catholica. The Pope is the supreme judge of the law of the land. He is the vicegerent of Christ, and is not only a priest forever, but also King of kings and Lord of lords. Again, something that I would dare to speak of no one other than Jesus Christ himself. Catholic National, 1895, the Pope is not only the representative of Jesus Christ, but he is Jesus Christ himself, hidden under the veil of flesh. This is taken from the Joseph de Varbé's Catechism. The priest does really and truly forgive sins in virtue of the power given to him by Christ. And you remember how we define blasphemy according to the Bible? It was when a man claimed to be God, or when a mere man claimed to have the power to forgive sins. Michael Mueller in the Catholic Priest, pages 78 and 79. Seek where you will through heaven and earth, and you will find but one created being who can forgive the sinner, who can free him from the chains of hell. That extraordinary being is the priest, the Roman Catholic priest. Yes, beloved brethren, the priest raises his hand. He pronounces the word of absolution, and in an instant, quick as a flash of light, the chains of hell are burst asunder, and the sinner becomes a child of God. So great is the power of the priest that the judgments of heaven itself are subject to his decision. Now those are great words of blasphemy. God himself is obliged to abide by the judgment of his priests, and either not to pardon or to pardon according as they refuse or give absolution. The sentence of the priest precedes, and God subscribes to it. Dignities and Duties of the Priest, Volume 12. Here they're saying that the priest is given authority over God. The Vatican City, in case some may believe that the papacy doesn't speak words like this anymore, this was shared by Pope John Paul II, rebutting a belief widely shared by Protestants and a growing number of Roman Catholics. Pope John Paul II on Tuesday dismissed the widespread idea that one can obtain forgiveness directly from God, and exhorted Catholics to confess more often to their priests. We're going to study on a future night as we get even deeper into how dangerous and powerful this kingdom is. We're going to study in great depth the chapter of 2 Thessalonians 2, and we're going to look at that whole chapter just to tell you to wet your whistle. That night is coming, and you will be blown away as we dive deeper into the subject and how it affects Everybody within this auditorium, or this sanctuary, I should say, tonight. 1 John 4:3, John says, "And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof you have heard that it should come. And even now already is it in the world." When John penned these words, those 10 kingdoms were already beginning to divide in Rome, and the papal power was on its way up to that power. John knew it and said that the Spirit was already in the world. Where did we stop? Number 8, it would wear out and war against the saints. Does this power subscribe to this identifying mark? It does. I'm very saddened, friends, to tell you that during this power, there were close to, I've read everything from 20 million to 80 million people that were killed during what we now know as the Dark Ages. And by the way, they were called the Dark Ages because during the papal reign, they actually had the Bible chained within the church. The average person was not allowed to read the Scriptures. And the Bible tells us that thy word is a lamp unto thy feet. Without the lamp, it is very dark. And during that time, that's why they call it the Dark Ages. Many people died horrific deaths because they would not subscribe to faith in the Catholic Church, but rather they put their faith in Jesus Christ. And because they would not recant, they were killed in horrific ways. This is taken from the Western Watchman. It says the church has persecuted. Only a tyro or a novice in church history will deny that. We have always defended the persecution of the Huguenots and the Spanish Inquisitions. When she, being the church, when she thinks it good to use physical force, she will use it. And so, friends, many people lost their lives during that time. The prophecy is very true and came to be true as many people were worn out and persecuted because of their belief in Jesus and faith in Jesus alone. The 9th point was that this power would think to change times and laws. Daniel 7:25, remember we read that. This power would think to change times and laws. This is taken from another, again, official doctrine of the Catholic Church. The Pope has power to change times, to abrogate laws, and to dispense with all things, even the precepts of Christ. This is taken from the Catholic Ferrari's Ecclesiastical Dictionary. The Pope is of so great authority and power that he can modify, change, or interpret even divine laws. The Pope can modify divine law since his power is not of man, but of God, and he acts as vicegerent of God upon earth with most ample power of binding and loosing his sheep. And friends, you may not be able to read this tonight. I have a copy of it up here that you can come and see after tonight is over. This is taken from one of their catechisms, and you can find this in many of the catechisms that they have in the bookstores. If you go to a Catholic bookstore, this is still in print today. They have the 10 Commandments listed in this catechism. And it's very interesting as you read down through the commandments, the 2nd commandment has been deleted. And the reason for that is because the 2nd commandment tells us that we should not worship false images or fall down and worship graven images. You will not find that in the Catholic catechisms. I want to read to you now from page 48. I have it marked if anyone would like to come up and see it afterwards. It's written in a question and answer format. And the question is, what is the 2nd commandment? Their answer, the 2nd commandment is, thou shalt not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Now friends, that's the 3rd commandment, not the 2nd commandment. And as you read down through this catechism, you'll find that they actually took the 10th commandment and split it into 2 commandments so that they would still have 10. So that hopefully no one would notice. So I'll have this up here. You're more than welcome to look at it after tonight's seminar. The 10th mark is that it would rule for a time, times, and half a time. It's interesting as we look at this papal power that it meets this prophecy perfectly. We said that it would be 42 months or 1,260 years. And the Ostrogoths, the last of those 3 kingdoms to be uprooted, the last of the Arian kingdoms to oppose the Roman Church, were overthrown in the year 538 AD. And so that is the beginning of the papal reign. In 1798, he, being Berthier, made his entrance into Rome, abolished the papal government, and established a secular one. That's taken right out of the Encyclopedia Americana 1941 edition. And so that time period is exactly 1,260 years. Napoleon's general birth year